And I'm trying to figure out, how broad I think you just did the best broad description of everything. And I think we'll dive in deep in a few different areas to just kind of explain how it works a little bit more. And I think one of the areas that I'm really interested in, and I hope other people are interested as well, is what goes into creating a tour lineup. And then once you have that lineup, how you decide where that tour goes. And as I'm saying this, I feel like I'm describing Brittany's job, but I'm not. So you can explain to me why I'm wrong, because I keep getting confused, man. Like, I know I'm the one learning, but I'm really on this journey with people.
Okay, so to put a tour together, the first thing we do is if we decide with a specific artist we're going to headline, we then come up with ideas of bands that should support them, right? And, like whenever you're a fan and you go to see a band, ideally, you want to see openers play before them that are also bands you like, and like make it more compelling to go buy a ticket to the show, because tickets aren't cheap these days, and it's like you're using your hard-earned money to go to the show. So, as an agent, our job is to put together the most compelling show that will entice fans to buy tickets. So, what we will then do is once we have ideas, we'll then go and approach the agents of those bands that we want to open, and we'll negotiate with them. And we'll say, hey, is your band available and interested to be on this tour during this time frame? If so, like, here's our budget. Is it kind of in the range of what you would need? Mm-hmm. And then we would negotiate that. And ultimately, we'd either like find common ground or we won't. And once we do, we move down the bill. So we usually start with direct support, the band right before the headliner, and then, go to the band below them and so on until we have our full bill booked. Then, meanwhile, I've probably gone and routed a tour, and I'll put that routing together based on where I want the band to play. And I'll base that on tons of different factors. It's really different in every single scenario, but it may be, how recent was the band in certain markets? Like, okay, we just did a major market tour. I don't want to go right back to the same city. So coming up, let's do a secondary market tour instead. Meaning, on the last tour, we did LA and New York and Chicago. So on the next tour, maybe instead we do, Anaheim and Poughkeepsie and Milwaukee.
You answer my questions before I ask them. I saw you catch for main and secondary, I got to explain that. And you just went right into it. Well done. Anyway, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just got excited.
So we'll look at things like that. We'll look at, what size venues we want to be in. For example, maybe in the last tour, we were in 1,000 capacity rooms, but the show's all sold out a month in advance. So we know we should have maybe been in 1,500 or 2,000 capacity rooms. So on the next tour, we're going to step it up, or all different things like that. So we'll put a routing together that's kind of our dream routing. Once we do that, we'll reach out to the venues, and this will kind of go into a little bit of what you spoke about with Brittany, and I'll kind of give the distinctions. But we'll go to those venues or those promoters for those venues, and we'll say, hey, these are the dates we're looking to come through. Can you send us holds? And what that means is they'll tell us, if I'm the first person to ask about a specific date, they'll give me a first hold. If I'm the second person, they'll give me a second hold. If I'm the third person to ask about the date, a third hold, and so on. So you get holds for the whole entire tour. And then based on those hold statuses, you start to piece together what you think could and couldn't work. And once you're ready to confirm a tour, you go back to those promoters that you're not first hold for, and you say, hey, I'd like to challenge this date. Yeah. And what that means is I'm ready to confirm it. And the promoter then goes to the people holding in front of us and tells them, your date's been challenged. You now have 24 hours to either confirm the date or release it to this other tour that's ready to confirm the date.
This is like a game.
It's Tetris. I mean, it's really like fitting the pieces together. You lose a challenge, you have to reroute a few things to re-challenge, and and so on and so forth. And meanwhile, while we're challenging and doing that, we're also negotiating the deals with those promoters. So promoters are sending what we call offers. They're sending actual offers, which basically state a bunch of details about the show, a lot of which we provided them. We'll give them offer parameters. So as an agent, we'll decide we want it to be this ticket price. We want this much in hospitality because we're the ones that know how many people are on the tour that need to eat each night and things like that. So we'll provide all that information. And based on all that, the promoter will build an offer and send it to us. And that offer will state, okay, it's a $25 ticket in a 1,500 capacity room. We're going to offer the band $15,000 to play the show and blah, blah, blah. And then I'll go back and challenge the date and negotiate the deal. And I'll say, okay, this is good, but why don't you up this part of the deal $1,000? You can lower this a little bit, and we kind of work it all out, get it to a place we all agree to. And then once the deal's confirmed and we've cleared the challenge, like we've won the challenge, then we have a confirmed show. And once we've done that for all the dates on the tour, we have a confirmed tour, and then we're ready to go on sale.
That is so much work for every show. And how much do you hate COVID? I can't every time a show gets...
That's been a whole other thing.
I can't even imagine. We don't have to get into that, but after you say oh my God.
Yeah. So where the distinction between what I do and what Brittany does is, like I said, I'll reach out to a promoter and get holds and issue challenges and get offers in and all these things. Well, Brittany's the promoter. She's the person that I'm calling in order to get those things. Where Brittany's job's a little bit different than a typical promoter is that a lot of times I will go to a different promoter in every city.
Yeah.
Because Brittany works at a large company that has promoters in every city, what her job is to buy tours. So she'll actually consolidate all that. So I'll be able to call Brittany and she'll still be the same promoter. It's the same process. I have to get the holds from her. I'll issue the challenges with her. I get the deals from her. But the difference is that she's sending me the offer for maybe 10 or 15 or 20 of those cities instead of me having to go to 10 or 15 or 20 individual promoters.
That's huge.
Yeah. So it can be a really big help because we can consolidate a lot of that work, but there are pros and cons to it. And Brittany talked about this a little bit, but that's great for some artists, and some artists it just doesn't make sense for. So, Brittany and I work together on a number of artists. There's a number of artists that we don't work together on. I still work with her company on those artists, but maybe I don't go through her role where I'm selling 10 or 15 or 20 shows on a tour to one person, but I'm actually going to the 10 or 15 individual people around the country that work for that same company that she works for.